Okay, welcome back. We're running home stretch here on Channels Television. It's Business Morning. Don't forget you can send us your tweet at BizMorning. You may want to ask Muda Yusuf one or two questions as regards how the impact of the closure of the hourglass window of the Forex market, the impact of that development on businesses. And if you are a business owner and you think you're also affected by these latest development, you can also ask your questions and send in your comments as well. We'll be glad to help them. Thank you, Muda, for still sticking around with us in the program. I'd like us to move very quickly to the issue of importation of materials in relation to customs. You talked about the fact that there's some of these materials that are substandard that have been moved into the country, and that could affect the genuine ones that we have. And so businesses who are in that line of business, in that line of importation, can be affected if the good materials, good products are not allowed into the country, or they're smuggled one way or the other. Are you working with the customs as well, to be able to fight this, intensify the fight against substandard product, or any other government organizations that you could be working with?
You see, one of the major challenges that we have in this economy is the fact that our institutions are very weak. That is why most times, even when government puts in place a policy that is ordinarily very laudable policy that are supposed to bring about a turnaround for the rail sector, we hardly get any tangible result because the institutions are too weak. Some of them compromise a lot. A lot of things happen that undermines the effectiveness of fiscal policy particularly. With the customs, we engage with them regularly, but I must say that they still constitute one of the biggest headaches now, particularly in recent times with all this drive for revenue. Businesses have major issues, particularly with regard to valuation. We have engaged the CM, the customs on this. In fact, we had to write a very strong letter to the Controller General of Customs. He replied us, I'm not trying to explain how they arrive at valuation and so on and so forth. But I'm saying that that problem is still a very big one. Because importers come with a cargo. The cargo has an invoice, or say X $100,000 or X million. And just out of nowhere, the customer will review the value, sometimes upward by 50%, sometimes by 100%. And the process of getting redress is so tedious, is so tortuous that most times these importers are forced to pay these duties. So it's an issue that businesses will continue to engage the Nigeria Customs on. And it's an issue that we want to also seize this opportunity to appeal to the Nigeria Customs Service to review their processes of valuation. Because there's too much of arbitrariness in the way they impose value on imports into the country. It is good to raise revenue, but at what cost are you raising the revenue? I mean, when you raise the revenue and businesses are collapsing, businesses are dying, it has the cost to the economy is much higher than the revenue that has been generated. So there is need for caution to look at that. Then the issue of ensuring compliance with fiscal policies is also very important. Because you have a fiscal policy that says, okay, XY products are under import prohibition. And you go to the marketplace, you find all the products there. You find a situation where you have some products that are supposed to attract high duty. Some compliant businesses, ethical businesses will pay the duty. Some unscrupulous businesses will not pay the duty. And yet you are going to the same market. So there is no level playing field. So you have a system that penalizes investors or businesses that are complying with the rules. That is what is happening. And that is why you have the informal sector growing and growing, because compliance with the rules at the informal sector is so low. So all these issues about compliance is very critical. Also, other regulatory agencies like NAFDAC and SON, the fees that they impose on businesses is also very high and intolerable. Businesses have been complaining, but not much is happening. Too much fees, too much certification, too many certificates. We have been engaging, with all these institutions, I must say. Their leadership have been responding in a way. But we are yet to see the kind of impact that we expect to see with regard to their reviewing their processes and minimizing the kind of fees and charges that they impose on businesses.
All right.
It's simply unbearable.
Okay, just before we wrap up the program, before I let you go, I'd like us to talk about a particular issue that came up in the course of this Forex market development, where the central bank actually issued a circular saying that all domiciliary accounts, for those who are exporting and own domiciliary accounts, I think there will be some kind of restriction, or there will be closer monitoring of how that account has been run. What are your members telling you in relation to this? For those who operate such accounts, what are they telling you? Are they being, is it getting to them negatively in terms of the fact that access to their account has been restricted in whatever way?
My understanding of the policy is not a question of restriction of access. It's a question of ensuring that whatever export proceeds you have should be remitted back to the country. And I think it's a fair policy. If you have generated some wealth within the country, you have exported some products, it's only nice for you to repatriate the export proceeds. We don't have any issue with that. What we may have issue with is not allowing the owners of these export proceeds to have free access to the export proceeds. And I don't think the CBN has said that. My understanding is that exporters will still have free access to their export proceeds, but they must remit or repatriate whatever proceeds they have back to the country after the exports.
That's for those who actually got their financing from Nigeria. What about those who got it from our creditors outside the shores of the country? Does this affect them?
Of course, it will affect everybody, for as long as the business has taken place within the shores of this country. Because that is where the economic activity has taken place. And if you have used the resources of the country one way or the other to generate this export, it's only fair that you also bring back the exports proceeds back to the country. If there is need for you to service any offshore obligations, of course there are provisions within the CBN guideline for you to even repatriate funds and make sure that you repatriate whatever funds you need to repatriate. There are guidelines, and I don't think they are so difficult, especially now that all transactions have been thrown back into the interbank market. That is more like a free market, which will be determined, the rate of which will be determined by the force of demand and supply. So
All right.
It's a fairly liberal window.
Okay, just before I let you go, one final word, your final remarks on the program.
Well, we don't have anything serious against the closure of ADRAS. It's something that is inevitable, given the challenges, given the kind of fundamentals that we have in the supply and demand conditions in the foreign exchange markets. I mean, it's not something we can help, but it is important for the authorities, the monetary authorities and the fiscal authorities to understand that the situation now is imposing a lot of burden on businesses, and there is need for the government to come up with creative policies to cushion the effects of the challenges of the exchange rate depreciation and devaluation. It is very important so that businesses can deliver jobs, they can create wealth, and also advance the cause of economic development.
All right, it's also important for us to close at this point.
Okay.
Thank you,
Okay.
Buda Yusuf, for your thoughts and your perspective on the program. Thank you so much. We hope that the authorities, the central bank, and other regulatory body in the financial markets will do something to help businesses stay afloat and not under in view of the current situation in the foreign exchange market. Thank you for coming. And I want to thank everyone out there for also taking out time to watch Business Morning. Thank you for your time as well. We appreciate it. Earlier on, we had Harriet joining us from Muscat, Oman, where she is attending the IOSCO, that is the International Organization of Securities Commission, and the Africa and Middle East regional committee meeting taking place in Oman. She also brought us update as to what is going on there, where Nigeria and Angola, that's the SSCs of both countries, will be signing a memorandum of understanding on how to cooperate on a higher level to move the capital markets forward. And that'll be it here on Business Morning. Thank you so much for watching. I am Bolaji Akinwale. News Track is up next.